Okay. Um, so we were connecting to remote and pulling and doing pull and push things, right? So let's connect to the remote, GitHub. So this is the repositories we are working on. So now let's look into another use case. Let's say this is my remote, right? And this is the local, which is connected to the same. Let me check the status. So it's all clean. Git branch. And now let's create a file. Right. So assume that someone else have created a file. And okay, I shouldn't have created this. 1 second. I'll also show you this use case. Let me get started with the repo too. Mm. Anything should be fine. I already created that file, so I'm just launching another one. Repo 2. Mm. This should be fine. Okay. So this is my local repository, and mm, let me go for this remote and assume that someone else have pushed some changes, right? There might be multiple people, multiple collaborators connected to this. So I assume that someone else might have connected to this and have pushed their changes. So I'm just creating it from the UI. Already here I see one file. Just a second. File 1 is here. Okay, here also it's there. Okay. Let me create a new file. Let's say file2.txt. Hello. Commit the changes. So these are the changes we have here. Like I have pushed some changes. I assume that someone else have pushed it. Now I already have cloned it some days back. Like let's say I have cloned it yesterday, and meanwhile so many other collaborators might have pushed it. So like how to update these changes?
Go to update to local branch or remote branch?
Update to the local branch. It's there on remote, right? The
You
file
have
2
to
is
get,
there.
you have to get the code, fetch.
Yeah, that's what. How to update the changes from remote to local.
Git
Right. We
pull.
have something
Git.
called git pull origin main. So what it will do, let's see. So this should pull the changes. You can see here file 2, right? We got the changes pulled in. So this is how we get the changes, we get the updates. And if you do ls, obviously you can see the file. So this is the thing. So pull will help you get the updates from remote to local, right? Whereas clone, it will try to get the copy of the remote repository. Let me show you another thing. Like let's say I'm just creating one more file. File3.txt and right. So now if you see there are two, and if you do git pull, right, you can see this one third file, right? So I have got this. Oh, sorry, I did a pull. My bad. Okay, let me just add one more. I just want to show you fetch. So now like to get update, we'll do pull. There is another command similar to those, git fetch, pull origin. And if you see that, git fetch origin, sorry, git fetch origin main. So here you can see that like it is showing that there were some updates, right? But in the files like by the Explorer or if you do ls, you don't have the file downloaded. Means fetch will tell you there were some updates, but it will not do any action. Like it will not bring them into the local repository or the staging area. So that's what fetch does. Means this clone, fetch, pull are like they look and sound similar, but that's a difference. You have clone, you have pull and fetch. Right? Clone is like for the first time you are copying it from the remote and create a local repository. Pull is like you are getting the updates. And fetch is just, it will show you, it will let you know that there were some updates, but it will not do anything in action. Pull is like, it will do fetch plus merge. Pull is the one which does this merge. Pull at the backend is like a merge command. When you merge, we merged it, right? From one branch to another. It's integrating changes from one branch to another. Pull works in a similar fashion, but from remote to local. Right? So these are the three commands which you can have a make a note of. They look and they sound similar, but these are the differences. For the first time, we do clone and it will create a local repository like from scratch, including .git. Whereas pull, it will get the updates. Is this clear for all of you? Right? Okay. If this is clear, let's have a look into the another interesting scenario on this remote. Like I'm just creating a file, right? Assume that someone have created it. Um, file 5.txt. So this is file 5. Let's come to local. Okay, this is my local repository here. Like I'm also working parallelly, like everyone might be creating their own changes and some other file is created. Local repository. Okay, so now we may do git add file for git commit -m on local. All right. So like we created this file and it's showing like we made some changes here. Now let's suppose, okay, I'm done with my changes. I want to push those changes to remote. So what is the command if I want to push those? Yeah. What is the command to
Git
push?
push it would be.
Git push.
Git push,
Git
right?
push.
Git push origin main. So what happens will if we do push now? What do you think will happen? Will it push?
Git status.
Okay, Rashmi is asking to repeat the fetch. Rashmi, I'll repeat it in some time, right? I'll summarize the things. So I'm just pushing this. See here. Failed to push these references. Updates were rejected because remote contains some work that you do not have locally. Right? This is usually caused by another remote pushing to the same reference. If you want to integrate the remote changes, use git pull before pushing again. What does it mean? This is usually caused by another repository pushing to the same reference. See, it is because if, see, always a thumb rule is if there were some updates on remote, right? There were some updates on remote, right? I have cloned it yesterday, let's say. Meanwhile, some other collaborators might have added some changes on the remote. So before you push your changes, you should make sure always you have the latest copy, right? Means you should first do a pull before you push. Just now I created here file 5. these changes are not there, right? Those commits actually, those recent commits are not there in my local, correct? So that's the reason it was showing. You can read it. Updates were rejected because remote contains work that you do not have locally. You don't have something locally. So that's where what you have to do, you have to do pull. You have to do git pull, right? Pull works like a merge. It will add a new commit in the commit history of local. And also it will add a new commit when you push it back. You have to do pull, then you have to do push. Because you have pulled, pull works like a merge. It will add a new commit in the topmost as a topmost commit ID. In the rebase devs, we have learned, right? In the rebase class, a new commit ID will be added into the current branch as the topmost one, right? So it will do a push, and then like when you do a merge, these changes will be merged into, correct? Sorry. So when you do a push, what happens? This merge will be added as additional commit. If you see on a remote, you will see two commits added onto the remote, because one is because you merged it, it's creating one in a local, and then you have to push the previous one. So when you push, two commits will be pushed back. But that's not a ideal way, right? Like you want to push, it should be one commit which is pushed. So to avoid this, what you can do, git pull with rebase. You can do it with git pull with rebase -r. So what happens? It will not be adding an additional commit ID, and when you push it back, it will be pushed as one commit only to remote. So that's where git pull with rebase comes in. Yesterday I'm talking about, right? Rebase is used another way on remote. This is the way it is used. To avoid unnecessary commit IDs just because you are merging into the current branch, we do this git pull rebase. Is this much clear? Understood this?
Yes.
Right? So that's where you can do git pull rebase. You can try out both the scenarios. You can try out both the scenarios, but on Mac, you can try only this one. It will not allow pull with merge, because like as a best practice, you should follow this. So on the Mac operating system, you will be allowed to do only git pull -r. So I'll be showing you this, but you can try out this as well. Am I clear? You can try out both the scenarios. So put git pull horizon, right? So now you have a conflict. Actually, you shouldn't be getting conflict. I think file 4 is already there. So because it's the same file, you got conflict. Same concept, like you do it on a local or do you do it on a remote, the concept is same. So what you can do to resolve it? Again, the steps are same. The reason for it is same. If source is missing some commits, here the local branch is like a source. It is missing some commits which are there on destination, and it's the same file, right? So you get a conflict, and you can resolve it in the same way except current change or incoming or both. But only difference is you sit with the person with whom you get a conflict. Right here I'm getting conflict some other person. So those DevOps guys or developers will sit together, decide which changes to keep, which changes to not, and that's how that would be taken care by. Right? So accept both the changes. Right? So now, like after resolving the conflict, what do we do? We have we have to resolve the conflict. I have chosen what changes we need, and then we can do push
Push.
with the horizon. Yeah. Mm. And also you can see the status. You will see like interactive rebase in progress. It's in progress. It's still continuing. You can say git rebase continue. Right? So you must edit all the conflicts. You must edit all the merge conflicts and then mark them as resolved. Okay, let me add it. I made the changes, right? So let me add this. Git add file 4 and then do the rebase continue. Message like okay, done, right? Like if you see it says that it's by one comment and it's all good. Now, if you see here on remote, those changes should be pushed. Right? Actually, this is the one which is created here. So these are the changes. I don't see they were pushed. 1 second. Okay, I did not push it back. Git push origin main. Now we can push it. Okay, now we should see them. Yeah. Right? Changes on local repos. It was only one commit that was pushed, right? If I have pulled it without rebase, just pull without rebase, without minus R, it would have published here 2 commits. So to avoid that, we use git pull and the conflicts from remote. Is this much clear for everyone? Understood?
Yes.
Right. So this is about a pull with the rebase and all from local repository. And let us look into some of the important or interesting parts we have on the remote as well. So this is your remote repository, right? So here we'll be pushing main, develop, whatever, all the branches. Generally, what happens is, let's suppose we want to make changes onto this main. You will not be supposed to do any commits on this main. You cannot do even direct pushes. Like I pushed it, it will not be possible. Your main branch or master branch will be restricted from making all those changes. Right? Let me take up this one, a new one to go for this examples. So master branch will be restricted from pushing any commits directly. Then what we should do, like we should push some other changes, some other branches. We should make changes in some other branches. Let me open that. Git demo. Right? So here we have bunch of changes. Okay, let me just check out the master to see if everything is in place. Okay, let me do git push origin B2. So B2 branch might have been pushed here. So we have B2. Right? Just go here. So if you want to make any changes to master, what you should do, you should develop on B2 in local, meaning like here I should develop on this B2, I should make changes on this B2, push them to B2, right? Or else like I'm just making a change here on B2. You may just edit the file as well. You can edit these things also. Edit those changes, right? So you have those changes here. We made some commits here. Now let's suppose you want to push this, like I want to merge this to master. You can't directly merge or push. What you have to do, you have to raise a pull request. Master branch will be first restricted from taking all the commits directly. For that, all the branch settings would be there. This will be given access to an admin person, one person in the team. It could be a DevOps guy or an admin who will be taking care of all these settings for your repositories on GitHub or Bitbucket, right? So there will be branch level settings where you can do restrict editing to collaborators only or else editing by everyone. You'll have those repo settings. See, allow merge commits. Allow all commits from the head branch to the base branch with a merge commit. default commit message. I don't want to allow any of these things. Like you can't do this. You must select one option at least. Okay, let this be. And allow suggested updating on pull requests, allow auto merge, automatically deleted branches. All of them is not allowed. Limit how many branches and tags can be updated in a single push, like how you can push and all. Let me just save this. Restrict editing to collaborators only. Those are the features. Pull requests. I think that should be fine. Let's go to the repo. Let's see the master. Right, I'm trying to make some changes. Let me give file. Commit should not come up actually. Let me try. Commit directly. Actually, we will not have this. Settings are not saved. Just a second. Settings, branch level settings should be there. Maybe here in the branches. Add branch rule sets. Restrict creations, updates, deletions. Branch force, push, linear history, deployment, sign, commit. Master. It's a two-way authentication. Does not target any. Still, I'm saying it. I think I am missing something. We have the branch level restrictions. Default branch. These are the general ones. Rules, rule sets, branches, protected branches is applies to one target master. Which rule should be applied? Only users with the bypass permissions to create matching refs. Only users with the bypass permission. Restrict the updates. Oh, actually, it's about restricting. Require a pull. This is the one. Require a pull request before merging. Right? This is the one I am looking for. You need a pull request before merging. Means you should request it whether this can be merged or not. And also, like you are requesting it and how many people should approve it. Those also you can decide. Let's say I'll choose 2 people to approve it. The number of approving reviews that are required before a pull request can be merged. Require review from code owners, require approval from most ones, require conversations resolution before merging. Okay, let me save this. Okay, rule set is updated. Now let's go back. So now this is the master. Now let me try creating a file here. Let's say file 7. I don't know, I'm still seeing this. Let me check. Commit directly is allowing again. I don't see it working. There is the default branch. Branches, rule sets, 5 branch rules. Branch targeting determines which branch will be protected by this rule set. So the default branch should be protected. Default is master. This is right. Then branch rules only allow users with bypass permissions. Only allow users. Restrict creations, restrict updates, deletions. Requires a pull request before merging. Review require from, okay. Okay, let me add these as well. Require approval of the most recent reviewable push. Require conversation resolution before. Require pull request review from Copilot from the preview as well. Require status checks to pass. Choose which status checks must pass before F is updated. Let me add this part. Actually, a protected rule should come up here. Something is missing. Actually, what happens is I'll figure it out in some time. Let's say it will not allow a commit at all. Here itself, you will see you cannot directly commit. Rather, you will be asked to create a separate branch like this and start a pull request. So master will be restricted from taking the direct push. You can't do this, right? I'll check the settings once again later. So that's what happens. You can't directly make the commits this way. Either whenever you are committing, it will ask to create a separate branch and do this. Or else what you can do is you can push to some other branches, right? Here you can do those changes, and here you have to raise a pull request. Pull request, go to pull request. Similar option is there in Bitbucket. It's called a merge request or pull request, whatever you call it. Just come here, create a new pull request. From which branch? From B2. I want to do it to master. Can't automatically merge. Don't worry, you can still create a pull request, right? Create a pull request. So give some description, changes for EC2 config, something like this, and then create a pull request. Okay, so you can see here checking for ability, and this branch has conflicts. Of course, it has conflicts too, so all of that should be resolved and it should be reviewed. Means reviewers will get the review request, this pull request. You will be placing someone in the review. Here we see no reviewers, but here you will be adding your leads or seniors. Here up to 15 people can be added. Those people will receive those review requests. They can review the changes, resolve the conflicts, and approve this. So that's when these will be merged into the remote. Here, like I'm only the one here available, so I don't see it, but yeah, that's how this works. This is very important feature to push the changes to your master branch, particularly the prod ones. So that's how we are restricted from making direct pushes. Got it clear? Any questions around this?
Yeah,
Any
clear.
questions? I'll check out on the settings, right? I'll check out on the settings. Something is missing. I'll check out what settings you should do. But again, not everyone will have those settings. There'll be org level restrictions imposed on which branches should be restricted. Of course, generally it would be master, but like how the branches should be restricted and how the security or the consistency should be securely preserved. All of that would be taken care at the org level, and it would be taken care by the admins of the projects or application owners, kind of. So not that everyone will go and do those settings or changes. But whole point you have to make a notice, you will be raising a PR, pull request, for your master or prod branches. You are not allowed to directly push or commit there. For you do it in other branches, then raise a pull request that will be reviewed and approved before your changes go there. Right? That's a very important feature.
Yeah, I have one question here.
Yes.
How do you add multiple users in this GitHub?
How
For
do you add?
example, multiple users to. I
You
want
can
to
add here collaborators, add people here. Depending on the authorization source, you will have like LDAP or single sign-on, like that's how they would be integrated, and this is where you can add.
those people only will be the approvers, or any external team I can put as an approver.
You can add here the people to the as a contributors or who have this access. They will only be able to do it. You can add other teams also, people who want to do this kind of reviews. First of all, they should have access, right, to the repository.
Yeah, currently, if you take in this example, you have access. If you would like to give access to this repository
Mm.
to me, and first I have to, okay, collaborators. Okay.
I have to
Then,
add here. I have to find you on GitHub and add you here.
okay, there I can assign to username and password for that user.
You have to add with their username. Yeah, search by username, full name, or email. It is here in the public repos. In the orgs, they'll be connecting it with the authentication sources, right? Like LDAP or Active Directory or single sign-on kind of. So those people can be seen here. So they'll add those. So these are all about Git and GitHub. We have learned till now from the perspective of managing our files, managing our projects. Now that we learned these things, the second perspective is to integrate it. Let's assume this is a project of a developer. Okay, he made some changes. Whenever he made a change, I want to create a pipeline, pull the code, build the code, and I just want to trigger the pipeline, right? So how does that work? Right, that's where we have to learn. Like we have to see perspective now. Before going that, one more small option here, a fork option. We don't use it on regular basis. Fork is like there might be some repositories over GitHub, some open source projects or whatever, right? There might be, let's say, I just want to see some Docker projects on GitHub. Search all GitHub or this repository or with this owner, you have different kind of searches. There might be some open source projects, right? Like a Docker or some Kubernetes open source projects. And if you want to contribute, right, like you can go to this project and fork it. Fork means it will be added into your GitHub account as your own account. And you can make changes on that, and that will not be reflected on the original one, right? So that you can contribute from your end, or else there would be scenarios like they might be picking up the open source projects as a base and develop on top of it. So there could be different use cases where you can fork it. It will be added into your account, and if you make any changes to it, original one will not be impacted or affected. And by the way, if original one is made, like any changes were made to the original one, you would be knowing it. That's the advantage of fork. If you want to contribute or use some open source projects, that's how you can do. I have forked some. Here, if you see, this is forked actually, some MediaWiki application, some PHP application, we have nothing to do with this code, but I have used this something like an example for Puppet, kind of like to deploy this using Puppet. As an example, I have done this, forked it. So just, you will be seeing something like it's forked if you have forked it. Some simple features on GitHub. 1 second, please. Yeah. So these are the things with the Git and GitHub. And now, like whenever developers made a change, our perspective is to create a pipeline, right? This pipeline would be a Jenkins CI/CD pipeline. So to execute those pipelines or to get started with the pipelines, we need to go into Jenkins. Jenkins, yes, again, you can install this Jenkins on Windows, Mac, or Linux. We will be going with the Jenkins on the Linux. From here on, we'll configure our tools on Jenkins for, you will see the reasons, the obvious reasons will be visible for you as we progress. So we need to get started with Linux. And this is the point where we will get into the Linux basics first. We'll set up a free AWS account and then we'll get started with the Jenkins part. So that's where we are now. Before proceeding further, any more questions from anyone on this Git topics, whichever we have covered? See, we have covered it, like a lot of things, right? These things are very much enough to crack the interviews on Git or to work on your projects. These two things are the agenda in covering any topic, right? Of course, we have done that with sample files or the dummy files, I would say. Whatever the file is, these concepts, commands remain same, but now onwards, we'll be implementing this Git throughout the course till the end. We'll be using it. So that we'll be using it for Kubernetes files, Terraform files, Ansible files, and all. So you don't need to worry about having these files. That wouldn't be any effect to you. These are the concepts we use, and we are going to use it throughout. You will get enough practice on Git. But make sure that you are completing all the hands-on before we proceed for the next topic, which is Linux. Any questions? Anything from your end?
Yeah, we are good.
So we can create a free account on AWS. First, we have to go through the Linux basics, create a free account on AWS, and we can get started with this. And there is something called branching strategy in Git. You will understand this better when we start our CI/CD. But I'll show you the different branches here. Like I'll just give you an overview here. Let's suppose I have a master branch, right? And we'll be having some branches like dev branch, release branch, and let's say some pre-prod branch, or else let's say um, let me put master, develop branch, test branch, and pre-prod is like, let's say, release, right? So we will configure our CI/CD pipelines in such a way that, okay, there is a repo on GitHub. Let's say this is my repository on GitHub. Whenever any branch is created here in this repo, my Jenkins will automatically create a pipeline for every branch. That's how we'll create. How do we create? We'll see. So any branch is created, a pipeline will be created for that branch, right? So pipeline will be created for every branch. And when will be those pipelines triggered? Whenever there is a commit on any branch, pipelines will be triggered. So you can't make a commit on master directly, right? So what we'll do, we'll get started making a commit here. Yes, this triggers CI/CD pipeline for this branch. So this CI/CD pipeline will execute the test cases, will execute the code reviews or scans, whatever it will do all of those checks, and then it will deploy to dev environments. Let's say if it is working fine on dev environments, of course, unit testing, then testing on dev environment, all of that would be done. And if it is doing good, these commits, whichever I made in master in dev branch, will be merged to test branch. Then because there's a commit here, this will create a CI/CD, this will trigger a CI/CD for this, right? This CI/CD will again run the scans, reviews, static analysis checks, whatever, and then deploy it onto test environments. After deploying onto test environments, again integration test case and all. Let's say if it is all green, like if it is all doing good, then this changes whichever on test will be merged to release branch. Am I making sense? You made a commit on dev branch. You have executed CI/CD for it. It is doing good. Then you merge those commits to test, then to release. Then release will trigger its own pipeline like CI/CD, and then deploy it onto, like, again, code review, scans, everything, and then deploy to pre-prod environment. If it is doing good, then these changes will be merged into the master branch or the main branch or the prod branch, whatever you call it. This will take them to prod. Are we good and clear? This is one of the strategies, the generally used strategies for your repositories, and this is the branching strategy used. There could be other strategies as well, as per the requirements, as per the org specific needs or the project needs, kind of. But this is what is in general. And yeah, we are going to implement this in our course as well. Like we know how to create branches, how to merge and all, right? Now we'll create a CI/CD pipelines that will trigger in this fashion. Like whenever there's a commit on dev, it will be pushed to test and so on. Any questions on this part? Anyhow, once you see this, you'll get more queries for sure. Like once we start building those pipelines and how do we automate, like once a commit is there, it will trigger the entire pipeline and all. We'll get to hands-on of all this, and I'm very sure you will be getting more queries and more inputs there. But yeah, this is how we can implement our branching strategy. So so we'll not get into Linux today. We'll start it on Monday. But what I'll do is I'll show you creating a free AWS account so that you can get started with it. So why do we create AWS account? What is it and all? I'll cover that on Monday rather than getting into that part today, which would take definitely some time. Today we'll create a free AWS account, right? So here you can see, like if you just go to new AWS account, you will see a sign up for free today. See, free AWS account means, yes, you can go here and create a free AWS account. And what is free in here? See, 12 months free. And also in 12 months, there are limitations on what it is to mean. There are some free tier limitations. There is a service called EC2. What is these services and all we'll learn. Just understand it's like a virtual machines or instances, whatever you call it. Actually, it's an elastic cloud computing service. So it's like a VMs or instances which you can spin up. And 750 hours of those VMs you can use per month for 12 months. That's what is free. And 750 hours is too big and we can just use it for our lab. It's too much for us to use. So everything would go under the free tier, right? So this is what we'd be using. So 12 months free. That's where you have to create an account. If you already have an AWS account, if you are still under free tier, you can use it until it expires that 1 year. Later on, you can create another account and that's how you can do it. So put the email ID, account name, verify the email ID. You can go through these steps. It would be 6 steps and it is like self-explanatory. It will navigate you through this wizard and you can create a free account here. And see what are all the services are free, to what limits, what is the free tier limit, it will show you. But definitely like whatever we use for the lab can be done within the free tier limit, except 1 or 2 services. Those I will do it. It's up to you whether you go for those or not. But yeah, that's where the free account comes in. So you can go for it and create this account. And during this account creation, you should make a note. You should keep in mind one thing, that it will be prompting for providing some data like your credit card or debit card details. That is for validating the identity of the person. And if you provide those details, it will debit 1 or 2 rupees and they'll be credited back as well, right? But yes, it needs those details to be submitted. So go through those steps and you can create it. And we'll be starting with EC2, and that's how we'll pick up the services which are needed for our DevOps approach. And that's how we'll progress. Like I said, you have the list of the services we would cover there, and also we'll be covering EKS, a paid service. I'll be demonstrating it, and it's your personal choice whether you will do the hands-on or not, or whether you will just listen it. It's up to you. But yeah, Kubernetes will be created like as a open source as well as with a paid service. I'll cover both of those things. Anyway, it's a long way to go. But yeah, this is what you can do. And how to create these free account also there in those lab guidance. You can also follow them and create it. But why do you need it? What is this AWS account and all we will learn in the next class along with some Linux basics. Do something else. We will build projects in the course, says Kajal. Kajal, we are DevOps teams, right? We will not build the projects, but we will build the pipelines. Yes, we'll get the projects, right? Developers will have their applications, their code ready. So on that projects, we'll be building our CI/CD pipelines. Yes, we'll be building it on like 2 different projects. If you consider them as a project, yes. We will be working on 2 projects, like 2 complete CI/CD pipelines on different apps.
I also previous background, but yeah, this Linux and all, whatever you explain, it is enough, or we need to refer any tutorial.
And that would be enough. Like whatever we'll be covering, that would be enough. Our basics in the sense we'll get first learn the basics to get started. Once we start our hands-on and all, as we progress, we'll be using the commands, Linux commands often. So that's how you will get exposed to whatever we need.
Okay.
Uh,
Ma'am, could you please explain fetch concept again?
Yeah, sure. Sure, Rashmi, I'm coming to that part. So just go here. You'll be also finding that lab for creating AWS account and create a free account. That should do. And on the next class, we'll see like how to create an EC2 instance there, right? Like why do we need it and all we'll cover there. So let me take up those queries from this class. Fetch ways like you understood pull, right, Rashmi? Have you understood pull?
Yes, yes.
So pull will merge the changes from remote repository to local, right? Fetch is like whenever you run fetch, it will give you a message, means it will give you the output like this. Okay, there were some changes on remote, but it will not actually download those changes. If you see the file explorer, you will not see the file there. That's the difference between fetch and pull. Means let's assume fetch is like it can tell you there were some updates. That's all, but it will not download or merge them into your local. Means it will not do anything in action except informing you or telling you or giving you a message there were some updates. Whereas pull is the one which will merge the things. So always if you really merge the things, download the things, you should do pull. Fetch is if you just want to know the updates were there or not. Right?
Oh, Yeah.
That's why we would represent this as merge plus fetch. Of course, during that merge, it will also give you the text or the information. There were some updates and it will merge to your local.
It looks like
So,
your voice is breaking. My is not proper.
is it? Am I audible now?
Yeah, now it is better, but sometime back
Is it the
it's.
case with everyone?
No, I could hear you properly.
Yeah, why I asked this is, Chandra, when you are speaking, your voice is breaking. So I got it out. It might be from your end.
Oh,
I think
okay.
others can hear me.
Okay.
Please, once rejoin or check once the network connectivity.
Um,
I'll summarize the whole concepts around Git which you need to go through, like whatever we have discussed. It will help you to, as a recap, right? So we first have gone through the Git architecture, like the working directory, staging area, and the local repositories. Sorry, the concept of local repository, right? Then, like we have seen, adding the changes, committing, and doing them together as well, like using git commit for unstaged changes. We can do this as well, right? And then we have discussed about git diff commands, git diff staged, right? So this is to check the staged changes or unstaged changes of the file. So we have seen creating, adding, committing, and also the status commands and the git ls files to check if the files are there in the staging area or local repository. And then we have seen the log command and the log one line to see the brief log. Right, all of that we have seen. And then we started discussing about removing the files from both local repository and working directory. And then deleting only from local repository, but still keeping it in the working directory with remove cached, right? And then we have seen ignore, git ignore, as well as git ignore, and then yeah, git revert, reverting a particular commit ID. And whenever you revert, a new ID will be created. So we started reverting the revert. This is also what we did. And then git reset hard, right? And then we discussed about Git rebase. Git rebase is to rewrite the log history and put the log history in a way that it would not, we would not see an additional comments just because we are merging. And we see that in the linear fashion, right? We'll see the log history in the linear fashion. Like we'll see all the parent commits and then the child commits, right? This is the linear fashion we have seen, right? These are all the things we have seen on local. Uh, like how we did, we have seen different use case. Of course, I missed one more thing, which is partial stash, unstash, lot many commands covered in here. I'm not writing all the commands. I'm trying to put the main commands, and these are all the concepts we have learned till now, right? So please do the hands-on, and any questions you can post it in the WhatsApp group or reach out to me. But definitely give the try, give the hands-on. Hands-on is mandatory. You might be aware of it, you might have used it, but still just give it a try and do it.
Preeti, hello, hello.
Yes, Kajal.
Preeti, yesterday I tried this git ignore, and when I tried adding a file, my file didn't go gray after that, even after adding it.
Okay. Can you share the screenshot or share the screen now? Is it with you now? If it is ready, you can
Yeah,
share screen.
no, I don't have it ready, but I'll have to.
Yeah. Just pick it up and we can do the screen share and fix it. Okay, so these are the things we have discussed all on local and all. Now, then we started with the remote, with the git clone, git pull, git, git push, and git fetch, and also like git remote add origin connecting to the remote, and git remote minus v, right? Verbose, and what else we have? Yeah, pull with rebase. Fixing the concept is same. The reason for conflicts, everything was same. But
Preeti,
pulling
can I
with
share my
rebase.
screen?
Yes, Kajal, just a second. We did this one, and also we did rebase continue after pulling with the this when you have a conflict. Right? These are all, but lot many concepts and lot of things covered in here. Any questions you have, you can go over. Let me check the issue from Kajal before we go on. Let me stop my screen share, and I'm giving access to share your screen. Um, yes, Kajal, you can share your screen now.
Yes, just a second. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see that.
See, so I created this file and I added, but my file tree is still in white.
Can you save that file to first? Go to file to. Okay, just run git status command. How about other files? Do git ls files? ls hyphen file. No, no, no space.
Mm,
Save the git ignore and do git status.
It is saved. It's Control S, right, to save.
Just go to file one once. I'm seeing them as not saved one. Save it once, please. Save it.
This one, getting.
File one. Save file one and file two. File two also save it. File three, just go to file three as well. Save it. Do git status now. Just save that file three. Save it. Okay. Do git add file one, file two. Git commit. Git commit, you can give -m and message there itself, or else here also you can go to, editing this, escape I, type in something there.
How can I exit this?
Just type in there.
Here,
Just type in. Type something. That's all. Just again escape, colon, WQ exclamatory. WQ exclamatory. So that's done. Now go to dot git ignore again. File3.txt. Okay. Do git status. Git add dot git ignore. Git commit dot git ignore. Status, git status. Git ls file. ls hyphen files. File please. There's something wrong with git ignore. Just a second. Looks like just add file1.txt also in git ignore. Dot git ignore. Go to dot git ignore. Add file1.txt. Save it. Git status. Something wrong. Just create one more file. Here, create a file, index.html. Give the name as index.html. Just go to git ignore and add this file. No. First, commit this file. Commit this file first. Git add index file and run commit. Git commit. Now add this file name in the ignore. Save it. Git status. Something not good. Remove that git ignore file. Delete it. Yeah. Do git status. Commit the changes. Git commit -am -am -am. Enter. Okay. Now create the file again. Put that index.html. Yeah, add the file now. Come to status, check the status. I think, okay, 1 second. But that shouldn't be the case. Here, come to that PowerShell. On the terminal, you are seeing PowerShell, something like PowerShell. Click on that drop down once. Which
This
terminal are you using? You are using PowerShell. Here. In the bottom window, right hand side,
uh,
in the
this
bottom window, in the terminal window, wherever you are writing the commands, there are some
okay.
options at the top.
This function.
Beside that arrow, drop down, click on the drop down, click on the drop down. Click
This one.
drop down, click on that. Choose, click on the drop down, please. Choose that power.
Drop down is here.
Click on the drop down, please. Go to Git Bash. Select it. Now again do Git status. Remove that Git ignore from there again. From the Explorer, remove it. Git status. Okay. Create the file back. Give the file name index.html. Save the file. Git status. Just close this Windows Explorer, launch it and do it. Use this bash terminal, Git bash. Right, close the VS Code editor once again and try it out. Looks like it's not considering or identifying the file properly.
Okay.
Can you try creating a new folder? Just close this one, create a new folder and try it out. Not here, you have to create outside this folder.
Where exactly?
Just in the command line, you should do it. Go to the command line, terminal, cd dot dot, create a folder here, make mkdir sample, whatever it is. Git in it, go there, git in it. Open that in the Explorer, go to that file and open this sample.
Here.
Yeah, file, go to the file menu,
Where this
open the folder. You should choose opening the folder. Yes, open the terminal as well. From the start menu, yeah, git bash. Okay. Now let's create some file, file1.txt. Write some lines, add some lines, save it, git add and git commit. No, git add and git commit. First, let's add and commit it. You have to add and commit separately, right? It's a new file. Git commit. Create git ignore now. Dot git ignore. Dot git ignore. Put that file name file1.txt. Save it. One second, why is it showing as you there? Okay, this is fine. File1.txt is added. Come to the terminal and do git status. Add it and commit it. Which operating system is yours?
Windows.
Windows, it should work. Git commit. Here on the left hand side, there will be something like extensions. What is those extensions? Below, the next one. Click on that install. Search. Okay. Go to the search and type as git. We don't need any of this. Go to git ignore once. The one you are seeing there as git ignore. Or search with git. Click on that. First one, click on it. Let's you pull git ignore templates. We don't need it. Go to the third one. It helps you add filter to ignore on single click. These are all from the UI. Just go back to the file explorer. You can close this extension. On the left hand side, the first option you should go here.
This.
Hmm. Let me check it on Windows. It should be working fine on Windows also. Let me check it and I'll get back to you, Kajal. Right? Post the screenshot in the group so that we'll follow up from here. Have
Okay.
anyone tried this on Windows? Is it working for you? It should be working. As per my understanding, it should work on Windows perfectly without any issues. Have anyone tried it out?
I tried, it was working for me.
Working, right? Okay. Just check creating the folder in another path and see that, Kajal. Also, meanwhile, I'll give it a try on my Windows laptop as well and we'll try to replicate it. Okay, and we'll follow up from there.
Sure.
So this is about Git and GitHub. Do the hands-on and we'll get started with a new topic on Monday. Saturday, Sunday will be off, which will give you ample time to do the hands-on. So please complete your hands-on and we'll continue from here on Monday's class. I think that's all we have. By now, you all of you got the access to the LMS. Please go through the recording and the quiz and complete all the exercises by before Monday. Any questions, you can post them in the WhatsApp group. Thank you all. Have a good weekend and see you all on Monday morning. Thank you all. Bye, everyone.